is Friday, November 9th, 2018, live here from Portland, Oregon for DT Daily. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As usual, I want to run down the docket of what we've got on the show today. So broadcasting live, of course, on Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Taking your comments and questions today. We're going to be joined here in a little bit by Ryan Juanita, our entertainment editor, to talk about actually some really big kind of breaking news about Disney Plus. That's the name of it. The new Disney streaming service is going to be launching, what they're going to do to Netflix, and a new Star Wars series. So lots of Star Wars talk. We have Star Wars talk coming up on the show. We're going to be heading to our New York studio later on to be joined by Brenda, who's going to be talking to Ben Daitz of Noompong Kitchen, and to talk about everything that they're doing over there in New York, some collaborations they have going. We want to hear your comments and questions on all of those things. But first, we have to talk about the headlines, the news. That's what we want to get to today, and I'm joined here now in studio with Nicole Rainey. Hello, Nicole.
Hi.
Thank you. Nicole's first time hopping on Daily.
Yes, it is.
And for anybody who doesn't know, you work for actually the digital trends brother company, The Manual.
Yes, it's the men's lifestyle publication. So if you're into things like leather and mustaches, go to themanual.com.
There's a lot on there. I mean, I got to say, like The Manual, I go to manual.com. I go to and I learn something like every time I go on there.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
No,
that.
seriously, I love that site. So themanual.com, Nicole's managing editor of that, and joining us for the news. What's that?
I said shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Oh, no, you got to plug. So Nicole's going to be joining us here for our news and our Read 'em and Weep segment. And like I said, we're live, so we want to hear those comments. We are going to be talking about here in just a little bit in the news some different things. Vine maybe making a return, Google getting a new headquarters perhaps, and or not at a headquarters, that may be a bit of a stretch, but you'll have to wait 10 minutes to find out. And something about some artificial intelligence maybe taking over my job. So we'll discuss all that here in a minute, but we do need to get to the top story of the day, and this is the trending story. So every day we kind of scour the news sites to see what people are talking about the most. And this one is not necessarily the funnest story, but it has to do for Windows users. If you are a Windows user, I'm a Windows user, especially Windows 10 Pro users, there are some problems at Microsoft. And more of this is coming out, and it has to do with Windows, you know those automatic updates that they give you or they force you to do all the time? Well, some of those updates are regressing the technology that you have to where it's, if you have Windows 10 Pro, it's taking you back to Windows regular version, and then on top of that, invalidating your license. So if you paid the extra money for Windows 10 Pro, you run your update, and all of a sudden your computer, it takes that off and then just negates that license that you paid for.
So is the takeaway here to keep ignoring the update button when it reminds you?
That's
you know, like update now or scheduled time, just say no for the time being?
Scheduled time is never. Yeah, I know, I try to do that myself, but there's times where it'll just, like, I've noticed this with Windows in that your computer will just not work very well at all until you run that update. So it's like they're forcing you to do it. But this is a big problem, and they don't really have a solution that they've posted yet. Their on their official answers page, they just said there's a temporary issue with this, and we're hard at work to fix it. It's basically what the paraphrase what it was.
Oh,
so,
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it sounds real fun, real official. So Windows 10 users, especially Windows 10 Pro, if you've noticed problems, you're not the only one. So that is one of the big stories. All right, we got lots of other headline news to talk about, but we need to do our Read 'em and Weep segment, which this is the segment of the show where we take a look at the comments that have come through over the last, 24 hours or so across our social media platforms, because we do read them. And I emphasize that every day because I feel like every day we get some question that'll come through. Are they actually live? We're live. We're reading them. Mike on YouTube, good day to you too. So let's go to this though. Here's one of our first ones. This comes from Red Ribbon ZX. I want to know the meaning behind that name. Regarding the Xiaomi Mi 8 Pro review that we have up. We have lots of tech reviews at digitaltrends.com and on our YouTube. But this review just says, the music sucks. Gives me a headache. So there we go. The music just ruined. I love how they couldn't, though, even spell out sucks. It had to be S-U-X.
Yeah.
That's one thing I noticed out of that. I mean, you spelled out everything else, but the music sucks.
Like proper punctuation, but it sucks with an X.
Yeah, sucks with an X.
Which
All
is
right.
way worse than sucking with a CKS.
It is true. Yeah, it really does hammer it home. Like if we didn't know the music sucked before, now we know. So thank you. Thank you, Red Ribbon, for letting us know about that. All right, let's get through our next comment here. Let's take a look at what we have. This is from John Osborne. John Osborne. What was Ozzy Osbourne's son's name?
Oh, I don't know. I can look that up real quick.
Oh, Jack Osborne.
Dang
Okay,
it.
never
So
mind.
it wasn't Jack.
I was excited for a second. All right, regarding the digital trends, McLaren reintroduces a 3-seater supercar with the Speedtail. Dang, I should have submitted my Pinewood Derby car from 1988 as a potential design. So taking a look at the new McLaren, I didn't pull up the picture. I'm guessing it does look like a Pinewood car.
It does not look like a Pinewood car. So,
So
what
you
I'm
are wrong,
guessing is that his Derby car may have had 3 seats, and that's why it was special. There's not a lot of Pinewood in the new McLaren.
So there you go. So John, you are wrong. No, I'm just saying. No, that's interesting. Did you ever race Pinewood Derby cars?
No,
Really?
no way. Yeah, I come from a land that's flat. There has been no room for
There are no
Derby
hills in
racing.
Texas.
Yes.
You are not allowed to do that there. All right, that makes sense. Okay, let's go on to our next one here. We got Brandon Wade. So we have an article up on Facebook and on on digitaltrends.com just talking about the 13 best horror games of all time. Brandon's reply: "Wow, what a joke. This looks like a list of the only horror games someone has ever played thrown together. F off." That's just F off. Like, seriously. You're that mad about actually, I think you guys could have included these horror games.
Yeah.
It's just, no, screw you. You suck.
All right, later, bye.
Yeah, wow, thank you. Well, there we go. So, Brandon, not a fan of the horror games. I'd love to know what games you would like to hear, Brandon. All right, continuing on here with our Read 'em and Weep segment. And I am seeing some of the comments and questions come through, so we will make sure that we get to those as well. So keep on dropping those in there. This is Nicole.
I didn't do it.
Nikki Kettle 3. These are the best gifts to give yourself. An article that came up with Digital Trends just says, yeah, if you want to be fat. So
I see no problem in that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it sounds like it's probably something good.
Isn't that the kind of the point of the holidays?
Right, and it's a gift to yourself. I mean, what are you going to gift yourself if it's not something that's, not
Delicious
technically
and
good for you?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, fine, Nicole. We got a couple more here just to take a look at some of the comments. This is from Glenn Ellender. Glenn Ellender, it's a very trustworthy name. It says, regarding the cute sidewalk drones will roll into London soon. Glenn says, scumbags steal packages off people's porches all the time. I can imagine what this will lead to. Half of them won't even make it to their destination. Glenn sounds like a curmudgeon, but I got to agree with him. I got to agree with Glenn. That's exactly what I thought when I saw this. And in case you haven't read the story, there's a company called Starship Technologies. They don't make starships. They make basically coolers on wheels, autonomous coolers on wheels that will deliver packages to different places. And there's a couple other companies that are doing it. And essentially, they'd be rolling down the sidewalk delivering packages. I agree. I mean, people are just going to follow that thing to wherever it goes. And then stand right there.
So it'll
and
be
wait for it to
like
open it.
drone violence, basically. Like we're gonna have like a whole slew of drone robberies.
Drone robberies. Oh yeah. Well, once drone deliveries, yeah, that's the other thing. I would just follow that as well. But yeah, I can kind of see that, or it's just going to be a whole bunch of people just kicking them over. That's another aspect I could see.
This is why we can't have nice things.
It's why, yeah, exactly. We can't have those things.
Or cute sidewalk drones.
Glenn, you're right. All right, final one that we have here. This is from Marcus Varner. Regarding Lime clocks 20 million rides as its bikes and scooters arrive in Australia. If you haven't been in a city with scooters around, you probably don't know what Lime is, but Lime is one of the companies that makes those electric scooters. We just got them here in Portland. I know a lot of other cities have had them for a long time. Got them about, 6 months ago or something like that. And it's been a contentious thing. Some people like them, some people hate them. Here's what Marcus says. I'll shut them down forever along with Postmates, Uber, and Wag. Too simple-minded. Money is their only motive. Wow. That's so nobody can make it.
His agenda or his resume is really stacked. Like if he's personally shutting down
he
Uber,
personally has
Postmates, and then now Lime, like that's intense.
Knocking it out of the park.
Good luck.
Dude. Yeah. So I mean, he is gonna clean that up for everybody. So no, thank you to Lime. All right, let's talk about some of our things that we have to get here. Let's see. As Sam on Facebook just said, money ? A motive? That is shocking. I am shocked as well that any company would be designed to go after money. That just doesn't make any sense in this day and age. All right, so let's get to our news, because I really want to get to this AI segment here in a second too. So Google in the news right now for another expansion. We've heard a lot about Amazon's expansions. Well, Google is now having a New York City expansion. So they've made a property deal in Manhattan's West Village for enough space to multiply their city workforce to bring in more than 12,000 new workers into New York. which will double their current staffing in the city. And I don't know if this is plans for even a larger expansion, but this thing would actually increase their ability by quite a bit. There are some, I guess, this is the architect's drawings that have come out showcasing what the new office space will look like. 1.3 million square foot of office space.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
So that's what's going on. If you are in New York, taking a look at that, it's always interesting to see how Google and Amazon and all of these companies are expanding all the time to where it's like this can almost go under the radar. You know, that 1.3 million square foot building.
How many years until we're just all Google or Amazon employees? Like,
I
if they
mean,
keep hiring like this, like at some point we're all just going to get under the fold.
I think you'll have to pick either Google, Apple, or Amazon, and you'll have to side with one of them, and
Yeah.
that's how it's going to all work out.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's a futuristic movie right there.
I'm going to say 10 years.
10 years. Which side are you on?
I don't know.
Quick, now,
I'll get
yeah,
back to you.
decide.
I'll get back to you.
All right, it's too late. You're already out. You're in the Outlands now, or whatever it is. You're abandoned. You're kicked out of the city. All right, let's get to this. So this is coming out of China, and it has to do with artificial intelligence and what their news services are doing to possibly trim down the staff a bit, which is not something someone like me likes to see. This is coming from Xinhua News, and they are debuting new artificially intelligent virtual anchors. And they've got a video of it. They've got images that have come up. I think, why don't we do this? Let's play the video of it. And I think we actually have some of the audio that comes along with it. And this is what they debuted. And then I'll explain why they're doing this.
Hello, everyone. I'm an English artificial intelligence anchor. This is my very first day in Xinhua News Agency. My voice and appearance are modeled on Zhang Zhao, a real anchor with Xinhua. The development of the media industry calls for continuous innovation and deep integration with the international advanced technologies. I will work tirelessly to keep you informed as texts will be typed into my system, uninterrupted.
So that is what they're doing, and essentially they feed it an algorithm of the news. It's based, the actual visuals are based off of real anchors, as it said at the beginning, but this is their idea to trim down the staff. Nicole, how do you feel about this?
I'm actually not here right now. I'm at my desk. You're talking to the AI clone of Nicole right now.
That's what I was thinking, like, if that's how people want the news, like, I can deliver it like that if that's what we need to do.
I do think it's kind of interesting,
Hello,
though.
Nicole. Thank you for joining us on DT Daily today. We will be talking about the news in the headlines that you want to hear. All right. So that didn't go over so well. What do you think?
I think it's interesting from a 24/7 news cycle perspective, because the idea is, like, if we're always on, like if the TV news is always on, I think it could kind of alleviate the pressure, like maybe, you know, just that midnight to 3 a.m. hour when no one wants to work, then you can have this AI clone reading the headlines or something like that. But obviously for somebody like you, I mean, is it a bad time to tell you right now that you're fired? We're hiring
the robot's being brought in, it's being prepped right now. I know. I do kind of see it of why they would try to slim down things, and you know, I get it from the money standpoint, but for me, there's something personal about having an actual person delivering your.
It's modeled after people, so it's going to take a while before we just can create like a Greg clone to take you over.
It's an army of Greg clones. So let's see. So taking a look at some of what they're talking about. So this is Xinhua. So they're launching this, and so they can have a 24 hours a day news service on their website and social media channels, reducing news production costs compared to employing humans. And I mean, eventually, and we've talked about this before, how AI is, there's different companies that have been experimenting with this kind of idea for a while, especially in journalism. There's some companies that are working on having articles written by AI, where they kind of gather different things. It's on you too. So they gather different like facts that have come out and then create a news story and just put it out there.
Well, when we get canned, at least Google and Amazon and Apple will be hiring.
But you didn't pick a side, so that's this is where it is. Taking a look at the chat. Oh yeah, Jack says, imagine the adult entertainment industry with these things. You know they're going to be at the forefront of it. Also creepy. And let's see. That was his comment. I wasn't calling you creepy. Seeing some other comments on Facebook. Sam says, "Go Robot Greg, go!" And Eric already says, "I love Robot Greg." So Robot Greg is already winning, and apparently I have to adopt on this.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna have to do the rest of the broadcast as Robot Greg.
That's oh god, I don't know if I can. Now let's talk about some social media from the past. No, I can't do it. I can't do it very well. I can't do it anymore. I've had too much coffee to do it. All right. But that's what's happening. So that's the Xinhua news agency. I am really curious to see what people think about that, because I feel like we are going to get more and more of this. And that is actually another point too, because Google already debuted something. I believe was Google Duo. I could be forgetting the name. I'll have to double check on what the name of the service was. But they showcased this earlier this year, where it was an AI that could make phone calls for you, like on your behalf. If you don't want to call somebody to set up an appointment, and there's audio of this where it would make the phone call, and it sounds almost like a person. Like, it's so close.
There's still a huge leap, though, between doctor's appointments and delivering the news.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, the more and more this is going to happen, though.
Yeah.
If they don't have to employ somebody, And plus, I love the fact, though, for part of the Google thing, there was just like setting up hair appointments. Like, people are so scared to talk to somebody else on the phone that they need the AI to set it up. But that's kind of where we're heading. So you can check that out at digitaltrends.com. There's a lot of discussion that I think we can have around that. And I am slightly offended by how many people like Robot Greg. So let's go on to the next one. This has to do with a social media that feels like it was so long ago, but it really wasn't. And it's Vine. Remember Vine? Vine, there were Vine stars. There were Vine, Vine was huge. Purchased by Twitter. And then just a couple of years ago, boom, shut down, and it was gone. So there is the founder, the original co-founder, Dom Hoffman, said in a tweet on Thursday, ironically on the company that ended up shutting down his company, although he sold it to them, that he has a new video looping app called Byte that is going to be going live in the spring of 2019. I want to bring this up for you because I really do want to see if this is something that people still have interest in, something like Vine. Has Boomerang taken over that? Has Instagram taken over that? Or is this, there's enough nostalgia that you want that kind of service back? Like, how about you? Did you use Vine?
I didn't use Vine, but I'm going to vote for the latter. I think there's enough nostalgia to help boost Byte whenever it eventually launches.
Yeah, just because it's associated with Vine.
Vine was huge. We were talking about this before we went on air. Like, you can find new compilation videos on YouTube of people putting together old Vines. Like, there's definitely a community there. I don't know what the community does now that Vine isn't around, but
yeah.
I mean,
well, there's still the archived ones, and I was taking a look through some of them. Like, I've completely forgot about this guy because he made hundreds of them, and it feel like that were all pretty entertaining. But it's like a 7-8 second loop,
yeah,
and that's it.
But there's something beautiful about the medium. Like, if we're still using pen and paper to write things down when we have laptops, I'm guessing people are still going to be using Vine/Byte whenever it comes back.
Yeah. So you think it will have some kind of an effect that people will download it.
Oh, for sure.
And just to give a recap on Vine too, founded in June of 2012, acquired by Twitter like almost immediately afterward, just a few months afterward, and then by 2015 had 200 million users, gone less than a year later, like canceled.
Done.
Yeah. So to go from 200 million users to nothing to being basically uploads were suspended in October 2016. That is crazy for just how quickly things can come in and out of being popular.
But then 2 years later, we're still talking about Vine.
We are. Yeah, and the archive is still up there. Let's see, I'm taking a look here. Byte is not going to add value, I don't think. That's Eric talking about that. Yeah, I mean, Jolly says Vine is dead because all the Vinesters migrated to Instagram. That's a good point. Instagram did try to poach a bunch of them. I remember that at the time, that they snagged a bunch of them. But you would think there'd be somebody else that would step up in that if the platform was that popular. Well, Byte will be supposedly launching in spring of 2019, so we can check it out when it happens then. I'll download it just like I download all of the new ones, and I'll probably ignore it. I don't know.
You don't want to become a new Byte influencer?
A biter? Is that what you would call them?
Oh.
I mean,
we gotta dub it now.
Yeah, I've already got a problem
Biter.
with it. All right, I know we need to take a break because we need to get Ryan Juanita in here, our entertainment editor, to talk about Disney Plus, the new streaming service that we know has been coming. We found out a bunch more about Disney, a lot more about what they're planning to do with their content that's on other platforms, whether they're new shows they're launching. It's not one, but 2 Star Wars series now. So we have all of that info for you with Ryan Juanita joining us here in a minute. I want to say thank you, Nicole, for hopping in here today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So themanual.com, check out Nicole there. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll kind of switch formats here. We'll bring in Ryan, and let's talk Star Wars. Let's talk content. Drop in your questions, your comments. Let's get to those. We'll be back here in just a minute with more DT Daily. And hello, thanks for joining us for DT Daily. And we are joined now by Ryan Juanita. Hello, Ryan.
That's true.
It's true.
How are you?
You are here.
Yes.
Yes, verifying it. You are not an AI intelligent creature here. So
It's good to verify.
yeah, it's good to verify it. All right, so Ryan's joining us to talk about entertainment. This is our editorial segment for today. And there is a lot to try to digest here in a short amount of time. Talking about, why don't we start off with Disney?
Yeah.
The new Disney streaming service, we know it's been coming. We knew, they announced that it's going to be happening, but we found out a lot of details, I feel like, just over the last 24 hours, really.
Yeah, we have some change of details. So Bob Iger is
Yeah.
the man at Disney. He's been running the show. He is the one that has overseen some of their major acquisitions, including Lucasfilm, including Marvel, including Pixar. Or sorry, not Pixar, but Pixar. I think he did
Pixar,
oversee Pixar, and then they have Disney Animation too.
And
so.
Fox.
Yeah,
a
Fox
bunch
as
of
well.
Fox,
That's a little guy, a little
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar
Maybe you ever heard of it.
acquisition there. But yeah, every time he says something, you gotta listen. And he originally said that the Disney streaming service was going to be called Disney Play. Now he comes out yesterday to, I think, shareholders and said it's now called Disney Plus.
Disney
So
Plus.
we go in and scribble out Disney Play on all of our stuff, and now it's called Disney Plus.
And they debuted a logo for it too. So this
They
is
did.
their streaming service.
This is on brand because they have ESPN Plus, which is under their logo. I hate it because how do you write that? Like every time you write it, you have to put a
Oh,
little
do you have to
plus
put the
in
plus?
there.
I mean, at least they're not using Go, because there's
Yeah.
some of them that use Go.
But Go is words. Plus is just
Yeah.
a symbol. It's annoying for us. No one else cares. But
I do understand. Yeah, I get that from your standpoint. Yeah, that is.
But
kind of
anyway,
annoying.
yeah, the big announcement, I guess, was Diego Luna is going to be reprising his role as Cassian Andor for a new Star Wars television show.
And that's from Rogue One.
Yeah,
So Star Wars Rogue
One.
One.
Yep.
They're bringing him back as that same character.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be a few years before the events of Rogue One. I don't want to spoil anything here, but a few years before that happened, and it's supposed to, we don't have a lot of details, but it's supposed to be a spy thriller.
A spy thriller.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a whole series.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
just a movie.
I'm guessing about 10 episodes.
About 10 episodes, so another live action. And this is the second live action Star Wars, and I'm already seeing some different Star Wars comments coming in here, and
Yeah.
I want to get to those. So this is going to be the second standalone Star Wars series
That
going
we
to be-
know of.
That we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been announced.
That's totally announced. Yeah, it's not even rumors. Whereas the Marvel stuff is still sort of rumor mill stuff, but there
Yeah.
are a few Marvel TV shows we think in the works as well.
So there's The Mandalorian,
Yes.
which we did already know about.
That's
The
in production
Mandalorian.
now, and that's Jon Favreau.
Yeah, and
Iron
that's-
Man director. He also did some stuff for Disney, like The Jungle Book and stuff like that. So.
And not a lot of details about it, although it takes place shortly after Revenge of the Jedi, I believe.
I think Revenge of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Sorry, I always do that. Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
Revenge
whatever.
of the Jedi really
Jedis are good,
changes
so
the whole ethos.
They
you
were
know?
mad Jedis, I'll tell you that. But yeah, so there's the Mandalorian.
Yes.
And now this is the separate one.
Yeah, the Mandalorian is
Bring
like
it
a
back to
Boba
you.
Fett bounty hunter thing. Jon Favreau's running it. This show we don't think is going to go into production until next year.
Okay.
But Diego Luna has signed on for it, so.
Well, and
They have big stars, and
They do.
They have big power, and we know also. I think that he signaled that we know they're going to be pulling more stuff off of Netflix. We already kind of knew that, but he talked about that a little bit. So this is a real shift in the streaming landscape for sure, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out.
Well, and that's what I was reading a lot of this, and going back, we're going to talk more about the Star Wars and their standalone series, but just Disney Plus in general, because you're right, they've pretty much said they're going to be pulling their content from Netflix. Another thing that came out is that the Disney Plus streaming service sounds like it's going to revolve around basically 5 platforms within their service. So instead of, they said it's a little bit to combat some of what Netflix does, where you go on Netflix and you just have these comedies, and it's just this huge run-on of...
And it's mostly what Netflix wants you to watch.
Yeah, what they think are comedies.
Or what they made as comedies.
Right, yeah. So these are the ones that you want to see.
Right.
And what they're talking about with changing for that is having different platforms within the Disney Plus service. So you'd have Marvel, National Geographic, I believe Pixar was one of them, and I'll have to pull up what the other ones were, but
That makes sense.
Yeah, where they have different ones that would all be associated with that, so that way you would know where you're going.
Yeah, and I feel like Disney Plus, I was going to say play again, is going to be less like a Netflix and more like an HBO in that it's going to have more carefully curated content, not a ton of content.
Yeah.
Part of that is because Disney has a lot of revenue streams that they bring in from multiple different areas. Of course, their film studio, but also their television revenue streams. So they're not just going to be throwing everything, at it once. The kitchen sink is not going to this service, but that's why they're curating these sort of special sort of Games of Thrones-y, not in content kind, but in sort of
like spending.
Special.
They're spending a ton.
Yeah, they're spending a ton on it, and they're trying to make these marquee series that you're going to watch for that show. You might just subscribe for a show, kind of like a lot of people do HBO for Game of Thrones or for Westworld.
Right.
That's the way I see it. We don't know what it's going to look like, but we do know that Bob Iger did say it's not just going to be everything Disney's got is just landing on this service.
Right.
But we also think it's going to be at least modestly less expensive than Netflix.
Yeah, because they have pretty much signaled that they want to undercut Netflix on the price.
Right. But we don't know if they're going to have 4K for one thing. So that's an
that's
interesting thing. Netflix does have 4K. I would assume that Disney's going to come out with HD first and then maybe add a 4K level. That way they can bring a strong price point.
Yeah.
And then say, oh, by the way, we've got 4K, and then pop it up.
Another $3 a month.
Yeah. You'll notice most of the Disney movies on Netflix are not in 4K.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So it should be interesting to
4K
see how it all
content,
shakes
which will
out.
matter a lot more as we go forward.
As things progress, for sure.
As far as content-wise, I know that they also confirmed that the Loki standalone series is happening.
Did that get confirmation? Okay,
got
I didn't
confirmed.
See that, yeah.
And I'll have to pull up the report, but so the Loki standalone series is confirmed.
And then we also have the Winter Soldier.
The Winter Soldier and Falcon team up on the Marvel side, and supposedly a Scarlet Witch one. So that's 3. If they all come to fruition, 3 standalone, series just on the Marvel side.
Plus, they have
2 in Star Wars.
They have S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which they could, pull their reruns possibly from ABC, which is their own network. They could possibly put that on there if they wanted to. If they want to fill out the Marvel stuff, they can, or they can throw select movies on a rotational basis.
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff.
And some of the commentary.
They can work with.
Right, yeah. They own a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of content.
And they made a ton of money last year, by the way.
Yeah.
Their movie studios pulled in even more money than they thought.
Turns out Disney's doing all right.
Than analysts expected. Yeah.
Nobody expected that little company Disney.
Yeah.
And they already made their money back on Lucasfilms too.
Oh my God! They probably made their money back on the first 2 movies.
Probably. Yeah.
I think they bought it for $3 billion.
Question, and I know we're going to be going over to our New York studio here in just a few to talk to them, but I did want to see just questions here. Like, is this something you will subscribe to? Regardless of what the price is, there's so many streaming services, and this is a constant debate that Ryan and I have on Between the Streams, the show that we'll be doing here in just 2.5 hours. We'll be back here live on Digital Trends Live, where we'll be able to go in depth a little bit more. Jack is saying they're going to kill the superhero franchise. So is it just too much superheroes?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a while ago for Star Wars too. I think
is it going to kill Star Wars?
I think superheroes can keep going because, for one thing, they have a basis of material that goes on almost infinitely. There are so many roads and different people taking up the comic book franchise and putting their spin on it. So you can spin over here and do this thing. You could go do Planet Hulk over here. There are a gazillion ways that these intertwine. And so far, they've just sort of picked their own arteries that they, wanted to lean the stories in. But I mean, they can reboot. They can change all of it if they want to. So
as long as people stay interested.
As long as people are interested. But, I think that they have a lot to work with there. Whereas the Star Wars universe, that's the one that we've been worried about getting, a little bit squeezed out, a little bit, overused. And you wonder how long they can keep making their own material off these 3 movies that originally came out.
Yeah, these 3 original movies. Well, I mean, obviously with the movie side of it.
They've done fine, though. I mean, they have Clone Wars. They have all this other stuff. So they've been doing this for a long time. Let's not forget.
They have. I think on the movie side, the Star Wars movie side, they have hit a bit of a stumbling block.
They have. I feel like that's more, dramatized than, I mean, so.
I mean, like the Boba Fett movie, they announced that, and then
they did pull that back. But I feel like they kind of poured that into the Mandalorian, this new TV show. But The Last Jedi had controversy, but it made like $2 billion.
Oh yeah, they did fine money-wise.
Solo, didn't get what they wanted, but it still was like a 70% from the critics, and or from Rotten Tomatoes anyway, or somewhere around there, and it still made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I feel like the sky is falling on the Star Wars thing isn't there yet, but we have been talking about it. How long can you proliferate this and still see the same returns, still see a couple of $1 billion coming back from a movie? And I guess we're going to find that out because there's no stopping it right now.
Right, but there's no, technically, there's other trilogies that are being planned right now. But we don't know when they're going to come to fruition.
Right, Rian Johnson has a trilogy coming.
And Rian Johnson, and then the Westworld guys, don't they? They have one as well.
No, the Game of Thrones guys.
Game of Thrones guys.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones, David Benioff, I think, and I can't remember the other guys.
Yeah.
They're working on one as well, yeah.
So there's going to be no end of Star Wars, whether you like it or not. It's going to keep on coming.
End in sight.
Star Wars and superhero movies are going to be all we get here in about a year. That's the only thing that will happen. But there's lots to digest there, lots to talk about, and Ryan and I will be back live here on Digital Trends at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, to talk more about this for Between the Streams, and we'll bring you up to date with everything that's happening in the world of entertainment. Lots of fun stuff to talk about, lots of stuff to discuss.
Finally saw First Man last night.
You did? Was it good?
Awesome. Yeah, we'll talk about that today.
Okay. Ooh, there's a tease right there.
Gotta go see it.
Ryan will tell you what he thinks in 2.5 hours.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but they may have landed on the moon.
What? All right, that already ruined it for me. Never mind.
We've landed on the moon.
That's Ryan Juanita. You can send your emails to him. All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Dumber joke?
All right. No, it's great.
I'm going to do a Dumb and Dumber joke every week. I did one last week. I'll just do one each week.
It's going to be your thing.
That's how it's going to go.
All right. We need to head to our New York studio now. So we're going to be heading over to New York, and we're going to be joined by Brenda Stolyer to talk to Ben Daitz about everything that's going on with his wonderful kitchen and all the collaboration products they're working on. So hello, New York.
Greg. We're here joined by Ben today. Good. Thanks for joining us in New York. So a lot of our viewers are from all across the country. So if you want to start by familiarizing them, I should say, with your shop and.
Sure. So my name is Ben Daitz. I'm the founder of Numb Pond Kitchen. We have 6 locations here in New York City that we started in 2009. We opened one in Boston last year. Just trying to bring Southeast Asian flavors to the masses.
Very nice. So today specifically, we wanted to touch on collaborating because I know that that's an important part of your business model, I guess you can say, and how you view business in general. Let's start with the collaboration that you have going on with Sir Kensington. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So Sir Kensington is a young, disruptive, fun condiment brand. They do like ketchup, mayo, mustard, all kinds of different stuff. And so we're a young, growing company. They're like a young, growing company. I use a lot of their products at home. And I like to say that collaborations, like good ones, usually start with a healthy mutual respect. And so being a user of their products, and they're always in the shops eating our food, we thought, why not work together on something fun? So got together, and we're using their avocado mayo as a base, which is really cool. They actually take the pits of avocado, extract oil from it, and it's super healthy, really flavor-forward stuff. So I'm using that as a base, and then I'm taking our flavor, like our Southeast Asian flavor profile. So lots of lemongrass, Thai basil, and a couple of things I can't reveal yet. And we're coming together in Q1 of 2019, and we're going to create a special mayo, like a collab mayo between the two companies.
And so these are going to be used in your restaurant?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never actually, all of our food comes with either chili mayo, a soy-based mayo, or a yogurt sort of sauce, and this is the first out-of-the-box sauce with somebody else. So
Nice. So what would you say that that process is like? Because, collaborating, we spoke about this a little bit before, but collaborating with two brands sometimes can be a little difficult when you want to stay on brand with your product.
Yeah.
So can you go into how?
So, like I said, I think it really starts with a healthy mutual respect of each other, right? If you don't have that, like, why would you want to work with them in the first place? So that's sort of the foundation of everything. And what's really fun about collaborations in general is when you're working really hard on building a company, you're sort of locked into these four walls and sort of hyper-focused on what you're doing. It's such a breath of fresh air to be able to reach out to somebody that you respect, say, okay, why don't we take both of our brands and put them together for a sec and see what comes of that. Every day you go in and you're like, how do I make my brand better? But then to take a break and get someone else's perspective is a lot of fun. The process with them was super easy. It helps when they love our food to begin with, right? And they feel like we can do no wrong. But they actually sort of put it in my hands and said, here's our SKUs of condiments. How can you, and sort of went upstate to my house in the woods, thought on it for the weekend, and came back with this sort of exotic herb situation that we're gonna unleash on everybody.
So did you have like a ton of different ideas to start, or did you have to narrow it down to a specific one?
No, it pretty much came to me right away. Yeah.
When it comes to that kind of stuff, like I can probably do that with like clothes, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I can put this outfit together. But when it comes to food and flavor, like how does that work in your brain?
It's kind of crazy because I think most people think that there's like a mad scientist situation going on in a kitchen. There's like ingredients flying everywhere. I actually don't do most of this stuff in my head without actually cooking anything. I just think I can sort of dream up and taste them in my head. I know this might sound crazy, but and then once I hone it down, it comes together in real life.
Great.
So, best work in the shower, by the way, in the morning.
Yeah. And so in terms of, future collaborations and where you want to go from here, are there any other, I don't know if you want to mention specific brands, but just any other ideas for collaborations that you...
So just looking backwards for a sec, we have a huge history of charitable collaborations that I've done. Year we'll bring in either a lifestyle or celebrity. For example, we did a collaboration with Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys, who has a new book out, which is everybody should get. But it's a great way to have fun, raise some money, and give back. So we've done one a year for the past probably 6 or 7 years. Going forward, I have some definite ideas that I'm hatching up, and they're a little bit out of the food world. So the mixing of food brands with lifestyle brands and fashion brands, like you're seeing more and more of these worlds sort of becoming enmeshed. I've always thought about doing a hot sauce carrier, right, with our hot sauce on it, and you know which brands I'm talking about out there that would be great for, but things like that, sort of mixing it up and having fun.
Nice. And did you say before that any of these would be available in that you were working on?
So the Sir Kensington collab will be available again in Q1 of 2019, exclusively at the Numpong stores.
Right.
And then we are going to work on a part 2, which will be a bottled product available at all the different places where you can find Sir Kensingtons, which should be super exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to try it. So if you also want to tell our viewers where they can find you, both location-wise and on social media. And
Okay. So social media is I'm at Ben Daitz. The company is at Numpon Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And we have 6 locations sort of scattered around downtown Manhattan, 38th Street, 25th Street, Battery Park, Grand Central,
Nice.
Union Square, and then in Boston, the Prudential Center.
cool.
So
Are you planning on expanding elsewhere?
we're going to continue building out Boston.
Okay.
And then possibly go to another East Coast city. But while we're on the subject of collaboration, I did my best collaboration about 3 months ago when I collaborated with Janine and made a baby boy.
Oh, nice. That is the best collaboration.
So that's my finest work to date. So
That's so nice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to throw it back to Greg now in Portland, who's got some more fun stuff planned.
Brenda and Ben, that was fantastic. So you can check out everything right there for Numpon Kitchen. And thank you everyone for tuning into DT Daily. I want to take just a second to kind of go over some of the things that we talked about today in our headline news segment. We did bring this up. If you are a Windows 10 Pro user and you're having problems with your update or your license has been invalidated, it's not just you. There's an issue. You can check it out, digitaltrends.com. We've got some steps maybe that can help. Well, actually, there's not a lot of steps because Microsoft hasn't announced them, other than I can say, don't panic, you're not the only one. Also going through the news, Google opening up a new NYC building, bringing in a bunch of employees. I believe it was 12,000 employees are going to be showing up there. And of course, the AI is taking over everything. I think you saw the AI jump there in a little bit in our last broadcast because obviously I talked about them, I made fun of them, so now they're trying to take over. So we've got that news there, that's the Xinhua news service in China. Ryan Juanita joined us to talk about entertainment and especially Disney Plus. So Disney Plus, the new streaming service from Disney, new Star Wars series. We're going to go more in depth with that for Between the Streams, which is a podcast that we do here at Digital Trends, also live video broadcast. And so that will be at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So you can join back and we'll bring you up to date on a whole bunch of other things that are happening in the world of entertainment. And of course, there was Brenda and Ben in our New York studio. And we are live here every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And we love having you join in with us. We love having you hit that subscribe button because that is how you can make sure that you get this show every day and you're notified when we go live. So keep on dropping those comments, those questions, everything that you have. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will be back here Monday with more DT Daily.